Hey guys, welcome to another episode, and today's episode we're going to be talking about the Sonos S2 app, and it has been recently upgraded on the 25th of January 2022, first major release of the year and a big version release. It is now standing at version 14.0. Now the changelog on Sonos website says that it fixed a few bugs and for performance increase and performance improvements, but other than that, no other visible changes, nothing else was indicated in the changelog. And there were no product releases as well. So what has changed? Let's find out today. Now, for those of you who are in a rush and have no time to stay around for the whole video, let me give you the answer and the summary right up front so that you can finish this summary and off you go. Bye. Now, absolutely no changes. I cannot detect where the changes are. Now, usually when Sonos releases a major product or a new product lineup, they will increase the version number, jumping the first number. So from 13.4.1, it will jump to 14.0. And in the case of a major feature release, like allowing height volume control on the Sonos Arc, it will take form of a second number upgrade. So for example, 13.1 to 13.2. And in the case of bug fixes and performance increases, usually it will take the third place number. So for example, 13.4.1 to 13.4.2. And that has been the case for a couple of product releases since they moved from S1 to the S2 platform. Before that, I wasn't really thinking about it, so I can't be sure, but this is how it has been for the last couple of years. So when they released Sonos S2 version 14.0 firmware, I was taken aback because I was expecting a product release, but there wasn't one. So with the Sonos Roam, which is the portable Bluetooth speaker, it moved from 11 to 12. And with the Sonos Beam, it moved from 12 to 13. So what happened to 14? Now, the Sonos CEO, promised 2 product releases a year. So does that mean that there's a new product that's being announced? But typically it has always been a product release first, then the version increase next. But this time round, the version has increased to 14 and there's no new products inside. Now, my charts here, right? These are the charts that I've been doing for the last couple of months, no, not years, but basically since I started the channel, I started analyzing the sound and measurements from the Sonos products to share with you what differences and how the sound looks like. And today, no exception. So this is what I did. I went to take a set of measurement on the Sonos Arc, paired with a Sonos Sub Gen 3, paired with the Sonos 5 as surround for version 13.4.2. Then I did the upgrade to 14.0 and I did the same set of measurements again. So for those of you who are keen in this kind of visualization and who are driven by real facts and data, do stay tuned and consider subscribing to the channel where I talk more about these kind of stuff when it comes to wireless audio products, specifically wireless audio product. There is a heavy focus on Sonos because, well, that's the brand that I like. I talk about others as well. I talk about the Phantom Delays. I talk about clips. Basically whatever tickles my fancy. So if this is your kind of thing, consider subscribing. For those of you who are following me on Instagram, thank you. That's my new account. And if you do follow my Instagram account, you can actually private message me there. It will probably reach me a little bit easier. For those of you who are keen in engaging the entire community, then I do suggest that you leave your comments down in the video description below so that there will be more people to help you. I may not be able to answer every single question here, but there will be a community of my followers and my viewers who can help you with your questions if you do have any. Now, without further ado, let's jump in right to the charts. Let me clear all this so that it's easier for you to read. And at the same time, I can then explain to you what all this means in terms of sound moving from 13.4.2 to 14.0, and you will understand what I mean by no change. The first chart I'm going to bring you is this particular blue one here. Now, this is the frequency response for the Sonos Arc on its own in version 13.4.2. Now, note that there is no sub paired to it. There is no surround speaker paired to it right now at this particular point. Now, I'm going to pull up the next chart, which is the Sonos Arc on 14.0. It is also blue for ease of reference. Okay, I've put it up. What, you can't tell the difference? Yeah, actually, neither can I tell the difference. Now, I'm going to highlight the curves, all right? This curve in yellow is the Sonos Arc on version 13, and this curve is the Sonos Arc on version 14 of S2 app. Now, you'll be wondering, actually, there are no differences, and that's the fact. There aren't any differences at all. So, which is actually what got me really, really curious about this whole thing. So, what I did next was actually I coupled in a couple of things. I added the sub into the mix. Now, when you add a sub into the mix, you see the purple. So, this purple line is the Sonos Arc with the sub on version 13. And the next line I'm going to pull up, also purple, is the Sonos Arc with the sub on version 14. Again, no appreciable differences. From 20 Hertz all the way to 20 kilohertz, I don't really see a difference. Of course, there's going to be a difference when you're using the Arc on its own, but when you pair with the Sonos sub, yeah, the sub kicks up the lower frequency response quite a fair bit. I think from about this point, which is at about, I say, 150 hertz or so, you see that the sub does its job, right? But it also relieves the Sonos Arc from its duties, from its base duties, such that the Sonos Arc is able to focus on the higher frequencies. So you'll see that from about 150, 200 hertz onwards, the Sonos Arc actually takes off on its own because it doesn't have to divert its resources and its amplification power to the lower frequencies anymore. It actually uses that power to pump up the rest of the frequencies all the way until the 20 kilohertz mark. So the next thing I did was, well, I unpaired the sub, I took away the sub, and I added in the Sonos 5s. Now, the Sonos 5s as surround, kind of a bit of an overkill, but you can see that it actually makes a difference as well. And the red curve is the Sonos Arc with the Sonos 5s as the surround. So as you can tell, actually, all throughout, the frequency has been bumped up quite a little bit. Of course, the lower end of the frequency below 120 hertz or so is not being held by the sub anymore because remember I took the sub out of the equation. So this is the Sonos Arc with the 5s as surround on 13.0. And then I will add this, and this is also a red curve. This is the Sonos Arc with the 5s as surround on 14.0. So again, there is no visible difference, as you can tell from the yellow highlight here. All right. So when you start adding sub or adding surround speakers, you will see where the differences are. But between 13 and 14, there's actually no sonic performance differences at all. So the last test I did was, of course, I enabled everything. I paired the Sonos Arc with the sub and the Sonos 5s as the surround, and I will pull up the orange curves. Now, I have put up the orange curves already, and for some strange reason, it looks very, very much similar to the purple lines, which is basically the Arc and the sub. So think about it for a moment, right? Between 13.4.2 and 14.0, actually, there aren't any differences again. So that we can conclude between version 13 and version 14, you're not going to be getting any performance changes or improvements in the area of sound. But what is strange is that actually when you take away the 5s and you add the 5s to it, it really doesn't change much. So actually the best upgrade that you can do if you just have the Arc today is to go for the sub, and it should give you almost everything that you want in a system, with the exception of actual sound coming from actual real physical speakers from the rear. But for that, you don't need the 5s. You probably can do with the 1s. If you want the ultimate system, well, this is it. The ultimate system, the Sonos Arc with the Sonos Sub Gen 3 and the Sonos 5s as the rear surround duties. Very expensive setup, but basically I am not left wanting with this setup, with the exception of a second sub. Another topic, another day. All right, so as I have sufficiently demonstrated to you here, you're not going to be seeing any sonic performance improvements when you are moving from version 13 to version 14. So that was the long-winded way of saying no changes, right? So for those of you who have been staying around, I hope you have found all my frequency response tests reasonably helpful. And if you're interested to help me fund this channel to support my work, I have a Patreon account, which I'm going to be linking right up here with the QR code. Scan it or you visit the link. I'll place it in the video description below. You can send me a small contribution towards my monthly coffee fund. Only if you found my information useful. If not, just stick around, have a chat with anybody who is posting comments. That will help my channel quite a bit as well. So between the two tests of the version 13 and the version 14, I tried to cap the variables all very, very similar. It was done about the same time during the same day. Well, it took a little bit longer than usual, moving from version 13 to version 14, but it did go through perfectly at the end of the day. I do have some complications because I actually have two Wi-Fi networks running at home, and sometimes it hops between the two depending on which speaker I power on first. Now, when it comes to other variables like the mic position, the measurement, running REW, all the different things, I kept it as similar as possible. Even the temperature and the humidity should stay the same, although I don't think it's really going to affect much. So as you can tell from here, there's really very little differences between the two different versions. Now, I'm only coming from the angle of a sonic performance, right? So if there are any other changes in terms of UI changes, I didn't notice them. Were there new features that were released? I think the changelog was scarce on the information. I couldn't find anything more than what any of you are reading right now. I didn't get any extra information, but I am actually pretty sure we are somewhere close to a new product launch. Now, this new product launch, is it this mini sub that everybody has been talking about? I don't know, but from these pictures here, if you're wondering whether your sound has changed, my answer to you is, well, from what I have here, no, it has not changed. I have tested the sub, I have tested the 5 as the surround, I've tested the arc in this combination, no changes. I would think that there is another possibility that they are adding features that are yet to be seen, but they definitely didn't tune the sound profile in anticipation of a new product. Now, the other new product that potentially they could launch, which we have heard for like maybe more than a year now, is that of the Sonos headphones. Now, the Sonos headphones are going to be a little bit interesting because it is no longer Bluetooth. I think a lot of audiophiles, they shun Bluetooth because of the compression in the bandwidth. So you're talking about a set of headphones that can stream directly from your high-resolution audio sources, including Apple Music, including Spotify, including Cubase, or any number of streaming services that the Sonos platform supports. And that comes directly without a phone to your earphones. So that music, that level of compression will be lesser, and you should get better quality music. It is like putting a pair of small Sonos speakers right up to your ears, right? But of course, being a pair of headphones, you do want to be mobile as well, so you do want to move out of the house. But when that happens, you probably need to either tether to your phone or you switch back to Bluetooth, like how the Sonos Move and the Sonos Roam is working today in the Sonos lineup. So exciting times ahead. This is 2022 and we are anticipating 2 product launches from Sonos within the next 6 to 10 months, I would say. Yeah. So the first one, no reason for them to launch them any later than Q1 of the year. So if I could imagine how it works, they'll probably launch one in the first half and another product in the second half. So first half, we are already halfway into Q1. February, maybe March, following a product launch in March, should be pretty viable for Sonos. So let's wait up. And for those of you who are interested in Sonos product, don't forget this channel, bookmark this channel, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and you will be pushed new updates on Sonos products from this channel. Peace out, and I'll see you in my next video.